Hello and welcome. Today we are going to talk about stretching, but probably not in the way you're used to. Let's forget about forcing things or chasing flexibility for a minute. Instead, we're going to explore how to restore space and ease in your own body. Let's dive in. First things first, we really have to challenge the story we've all been told about stretching. I mean, for most of us, it's kind of a chore, right? Something you're supposed to do after a workout to, fix whatever you just did. But what if it's actually something way, way bigger than that? Okay, so this slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left, that's the old way, forcing, pushing, trying to correct something. But on the right, that's a whole new story. It's about allowing, restoring, and, this is the key word, giving your body permission to let go instead of ordering it to. I just love this idea of a biological conversation. It totally reframes the whole thing. You're not up there delivering a speech, telling your muscles what to do. You're starting a dialogue. You're inviting them to finally let go of all that tension they've been holding on to. So why is having this conversation so important, especially right now? Well, it turns out our modern lives are pretty much actively working against our body's natural state of ease and openness. This statement just hits hard, It gets right to the core of the problem. All the sitting we do, all the rushing around, that low-level stress that's always buzzing in the background, it isn't just in our heads. It physically shortens and compresses our bodies day after day. And this shortening, it happens on so many levels. Yeah, sure, it's in our muscles and our fascia. That's the connective tissue that kind of holds everything together. But it actually goes deeper. It shows up in how shallow we breathe and the way we hold ourselves, and even in our attention span being all over the place. Our bodies are just adapting to being constantly on by tightening up. And here's the biology behind it. It's something called sympathetic tone. Think of it as your nervous system's doing mode, or, the fight or flight state. In a world that demands we're always ready for the next thing, our bodies can get stuck in this protective gear, tensing up our muscles to keep us safe from, everything. A work deadline, a tough commute, it's all the same to your nervous system. All right, so we get the problem. How in the world do we fix it? Well, the answer is actually in learning how to consciously change the conversation we're having with our own body. This is it. This is the whole mechanism right here. When you do this kind of gentle, mindful stretching, you're helping your body shift from that sympathetic doing state over to the parasympathetic rest and repair state. And when your brain starts getting signals that everything is safe, that's when it finally gives your muscles the green light to let go of that protective tension. What's so wild about this is that it completely flips the script on what we thought stretching was. A muscle releasing isn't a mechanical thing. It's not about pulling it like a rubber band. It's a neurological event. It's your brain making a decision and saying, okay, we're safe. We can let go now. Seriously, if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. The goal is to lengthen by permission, not by force. The second you feel that strain, that effort, that's your body telling you you've gone too far. You've stopped having a conversation and started shouting, and your body's only response is to tighten up even more to protect itself. Okay, so that's the why. Enough theory, right? Let's get to the how. This whole approach is built into a really simple 5-phase routine, and it's all designed to systematically create that feeling of safety and restore space in your body. So, here's the roadmap. It's a really logical flow. We start by just arriving. Then we create some space in the spine, open up our posture, release the lower body, and then, finally, we let it all sink in. Each step perfectly sets up the body for the next one. Phase 1, arrival, is absolutely non-negotiable. Please don't skip it. This is where you just lie down, breathe, and give yourself a moment to actually land in your body. Its only job is to start flicking that switch from the doing state. Trying to stretch without this first step is like trying to have a calm conversation while you're running for a bus. It just won't work. Once your nervous system starts to feel a bit safer, then we can move to the spine. And the gentle movements here, they're not about huge dramatic backbends. They're about sending these really powerful signals of reassurance right to your central command, telling it, hey, it's okay, you can relax even more. Phase 3 is the direct antidote to all that sitting and hunching over a screen. We're gently opening up the chest and shoulders, the exact places that tighten up when we feel stressed out or defensive. Again, the goal isn't some crazy yoga pose, it's just about restoring enough space so you can take a full, easy breath. Now that the upper body feels safe and open, we can finally turn our attention to the lower body. The hamstrings and hips. They are famous for holding on to tension from stress and, of course, from sitting all day. And remember, we are gently inviting them to release, not forcing them. Just restoring a little ease of movement from the ground up. And last but not least, we have the most overlooked, but maybe the most important step, integration. Just resting in stillness for a minute at the end. That is when this new feeling of space and release really gets to settle in and consolidate. If you skip this, you're actually missing out on a huge part of the long-term benefit. This is where your body basically memorizes this new, more spacious feeling. So after you go through a process like this, how do you even know if you're making progress? This brings us to a really different way of thinking about what success even means here. And that's a fair question, right? If the goal isn't to push or strain or get more flexible, then what are we actually trying to achieve? How do we know if this new approach is doing anything at all? Okay, first let's just be super clear about what we are not measuring. Success is not about reaching a few more centimeters toward your toes. It is not about holding a pose for longer. Those kinds of external goals, they belong to that old story of forcing your body into submission. The only signal that truly matters is an internal one. It's the feeling of ease that you have when you're done. You just ask yourself simple questions. Do I feel calmer? Do I feel a little bit warmer? Do I feel more spacious in my own skin? If the answer is yes, then guess what? It worked. It doesn't matter one bit what it looked like from the outside. And this brings us to a much, much deeper point. This kind of practice, it's not just about releasing your hamstrings. It's a quiet little act of rebellion against our culture of busyness, that voice that tells us our value is tied to how much we're doing. By choosing to move slowly, without an agenda, you are teaching your nervous system that just being is enough. And that's really the final thought that I want to leave you with. In a world that constantly tells us to be busier, to do more, what if the real antidote is just creating a little space? What if being present in our own bodies is actually the most productive thing any of us can do? Thanks so much for joining me today.